Welcome to Williams Memorial Chapel Services Limited, located at 1203 North Market Street, Champaign, Illinois. We're here today to kind of introduce people to the funeral process. It's something that's largely not talked about a lot in communities and even families and churches for that matter. So we really just want to give a brief introduction today to what Williams Memorial Services stands for, number one, and two, what the funeral process entails. The funeral process is a three-part process that includes aftercare, pre-need, and at-need. And what we're going to do today is talk about pre-need. We've got the owner here, Sean Williams, who's been a licensed cosmetologist and local famous barber in the Champaign area for more than 15 years. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about pre-needs.
Well, Stacy, in trying to prepare ourselves for the pre-planning process, the funeral home business, we talk a lot about insurance, and we talk about a lot about planning and sit down with your loved ones and just tell them what you need at that time and what services you would like to be performed. When you have that insurance that covers things that you can do a wide variety of different things in the pre-needs process.
Great, great. And with saying that, Sean, let's just drill down a little further about the process and how having that insurance product in place, and otherwise, for that matter, cash is insurance as well. Having those monies and that financial accumulation in place for that time of need, how does that help families deal with the other sides of loss?
Well, it's already tough enough to lose a loved one and to be strained as a family to not have the type of financial resources to provide to be at a burial or whatever funeral service that you would like. It's too tough when you don't have the money there to cover the cost.
Yeah, yeah. And as an example of that, we've been in business more than a year now, and during some of our real tough discussions and consultations with families, just give us an example of a mini crisis within an otherwise broader crisis of what could happen without having an insurance product in place.
Well, when you said that, a few different situations came into mind, and one situation in particular is when a lady had her sister, and her sister just did not have the insurance to cover the cost of funeral services. And I just really had to sit down and kind of counsel the lady and just tell her to not put the burden on her. And those type of crisis situations, the county will come in and they'll take over the responsibility of taking care of that loved one. And so it's a sad situation, but sometimes that's just the case.
Yeah, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes, as they say. With you saying that, we've read a lot of research, obviously, about the industry, and in a situation where that particular loved one has to go back to the county coroner, God forbid. Can you elaborate a little bit about how Cook County kind of is ultimately where these indigents or otherwise thrown away people end up? Can you kind of elaborate about that?
Well, what happens is that the coroner will come back and they'll do a removal from the funeral home, and at that time, the coroner takes on that responsibility, that financial obligation, and what they'll do is they'll call a phlebotomy school up in Chicago that'll come down and pick that loved one up, and that accumulated cost through the coroner having to provide that process. They'll come in and they'll take all the assets of that particular loved one and to cover costs, and at that particular time, their assets will go toward a county sale to be able to just cover that cost.
Right. And then that was the best case scenario, as we know, and the worst case scenario is where the county, Cook County, will actually collect your loved one and put them in a coffin, essentially in a state-run cemetery, and put them to about 20 to 30 bodies in one particular coffin, and do an undertaking process that way. So it really is tough for people that fall into that dilemma, don't you think?
Oh, it's very, very tough on families, very difficult to be able to just go through that mourning process, and you don't have the type of financial resources there to be able to provide that traditional funeral service that everybody deserves.
Yeah, and that kind of reminds me of closure. What's your thoughts on closure and how that plays an integral part of this process as well?
Well, that closure, that just having that pre-need set up, and having that will, or if you wanted a will, or just having a trust, or having those last wishes wrote down,
Or even something written, just anything.
something,
We've
just-
seen notebook paper, we've seen
we
tissue
seen it all,
paper,
yeah.
you know,
Just people
paper
just putting
towels.
their last wishes down, and kind of put it in a safe place, and being able to have what they want to happen at that particular time. But it's a few different things that happen. We do traditional funeral services, and we do traditional cremation services, and that's another process. We do direct cremations, and I think out of the 3 or 4 different things, I think the best one is to just be able to last view that loved one, and be able to say your last wishes and goodbyes.
So that would more than likely be a traditional.
And traditional funeral, and that kind of brings more closure to families. We do a lot of things special here at the funeral home here, and trying to provide that closure for families and start that healing process. We have ministerial staff, and we have a musical staff and the best soloists throughout the Champaign-Urbana community, to just be able to provide those last songs, those last words, to be able to help families. I think that when we go into these services, and we try to provide some of these services for families, and they just do not know the process,
Right.
and it's some of the things, and it's some of the things we don't like to talk about. We don't like to talk about that last minute, or that last
Breath, if you will.
that last breath, and the death type of situation. But that's our
Which
job.
is more in the at-need.
Yeah.
Which is, we're going to be talking
We're
about
coming
that
with
a
that
little
need.
bit down the road.
But-
But, just to elaborate on that totality of the circumstance, I think is really something that we kind of want to go into today. And with that pre-need arrangement, what I can add into the process is that everything that individual stood for in life, with that pre-need and that planning, seems to come to fruition at that celebration of life service. Wouldn't you agree, Sean? Kind of elaborate on how people are elated, otherwise happy, in a sad time when they can work their plan to the loved one's ultimate wishes.
It brings me back to a service that we had, and the guy was a vet, and what we did is we brought some American Legionnaires in, and the VFW, and those guys performed taps, and just to make that loved one, and make the loved one seem really extraordinary in their life, and the dedication that they had toward the military, and that particular part of their life played a major part of their life, and that helps with the memorialization process, and it helps families get to a closure, to know their loved one meant something. And I think that in your funeral service should reflect on what your life was. If you rode a nice car, you want to go out in a nice casket.
If you drove a Mercedes Benz in life, that's what you want to go out in. Is that right?
Yeah, you just wouldn't want to go in a $300 or $400 unit.
Yeah.
You want to go out in something that memorializes you and what represents you, your favorite colors. What your favorite song was. And your favorite outfit. And not just letting somebody that don't know you kind of put that together. Your floral arrangement, very important. Very important.
Color your stationery.
Oh yeah, very
Color
important.
your church program.
Oh yeah. And we go through that process and putting that together for families, and we've had it where families just did not know their loved one's favorite color because they never sat down and talked about that, and they didn't know some of the loved ones, some of the other extended family, and it's kind of sad, but that's just the process that we have to deal with, and we help families through that process.
So would you say, by and large, by talking about the otherwise unspoken of during the pre-planning process, that kind of helps that transition better, as far as, just kind of in your role as a licensed insurance agent in town and in the state? Do you feel like that kind of gets people to a point where they can accept the inevitable, if you will?
Just knowing that you have that pre-need or that pre-planning already set aside, it takes a weight off, and we've met with a lot of families since we've been in the business that have just came along and said, hey, look, let's plan this thing out for me. let's meet at the funeral home. I really want to get this here behind me, and it helps them feel more secure that they don't have to put that burden on somebody else within the family. And you know, and speaking about that, at that particular time, and when that particular time happens, you want to have somebody that's responsible in the family, delegated, to be able to handle those final arrangements for you. You know, everybody's not everything at that particular
Yes,
time.
sir. We understand
And so,
that.
and so
Some people kind of zone out or go into shock as a protectionary measure. wouldn't you think?
exactly.
And some people just step up to the fore.
And
so.
some people, sometimes it be
Usually
the
they
people
sit
that-
on our right, don't they?
Yeah, sometimes it be the people that you didn't think of in the family that just get strong at that point in time,
Leaders.
and they show leadership, and for families, and during that process, I'm thinking of a young gal that her mom passed away, and she just showed severe leadership within that family and pulled that family together, and it helps her even now. Because she was able to start
Really
that process
blossom
now,
as a
and
young woman.
She's blossoming now as a young lady, be able to help other young ladies, and so it can be a time of uplift also, you know, and carrying on the legacy of the loved one in that family.
Yeah, I agree with that in that particular instance because her mom had insurance and her mom really cared about her legacy, and that's what she kind of imparted into her oldest daughter in that particular case, and she had rental properties, and she had a will, she had an executed instrument of a trust, and they executed it well, and she had a financial product in place to really ensure the handing off of the baton, don't you think?
Yeah, Stacy, and you know, most people think that insurance costs so much.
And the insurance premiums have never been lower.
Yeah, and they're
And
very,
that's
very cheap. You know, for the price of a pack of
$25
cigarettes,
a month.
you know, some cigarettes, you can get that pre-planning
Right, you
done.
lose more spare change in your couch every month
Exactly.
than what an insurance policy costs. And kind of speak about kind of some of the health crises that we run into in the community and how we can actually write products and put products in place for our people in the community that otherwise really can't get insurance. Kind of speak on that.
Well, you know, in the African American community, you know, high blood pressure rates and obesity and diabetes and heart conditions,
End-stage renal failure.
Yeah, and we see a lot of that. So in saying that, it kind of scared some insurance companies off, but we have access to a lot of more
Through our
resources
independent
through it
brokerage.
that we can get these people covered.
We represent over 20 companies nationwide.
So just being able to network with some partners and being able to provide that not only just that death benefit, but also that health benefit.
Yeah,
also.
mortgage, medical, college tuitions.
Yeah, that all plays a part.
That's all part of your legacy.
Yeah.
If you want that mansion, you got to get that $1 million insurance policy in place to pay for it.
Yeah,
so your house will be your home.
And speaking and listening to some of the speakers that we've talked to and some partners that we've talked to, you know, that's one of the ways to be able to just get financially wealthy through that insurance policy and putting that thing in place, you know, because it takes when one of the incomes missing or a large bulk of that income, loss of a job or that loved
Something
one
just didn't go right.
Yeah, or that loved one's income's not there.
Yeah.
And now you're able
Double
to,
income.
now you're able to supplement that income with that insurance policy and just
Keep the
plan
ball
ahead,
rolling.
keep the ball rolling, and it really don't cripple a family after a loved one passes away.
Yeah, so we can stick to what really matters.
Yeah.
Well, great. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll definitely be back to see you.
Thank you very much.